Hello, and welcome back to the Pep Talk. My name is Alexa, and this is Coby.
Hey, everybody. Good to be back.
And we are so excited to get into today's exclusive episode. Today's episode is one you do not want to miss. At a moment when global affairs and regional tensions demand clear thinking and courageous leadership, Pepperdine University is stepping forward in a bold new way. In a first-of-its-kind partnership, Pepperdine has joined forces with the Washington Institute for Near East Policy to launch a fully accredited, policy-focused master's program in Middle East Studies. Based in the heart of Washington, D.C., just steps away from the White House, this 2-year program is already being hailed as a game changer. In fact, the Wall Street Journal has called it a new hope for Middle East studies. To help us unpack what this means for students, as well as higher education in the realm of Near East policy, we are honored to be joined by Dean Pete Peterson, who leads the Pepperdine School of Public Policy. Dean Pete Peterson, welcome to Pep Talk. We're so thrilled to have you.
Great to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today. Coby, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, Dean Peterson, I would just love to hear, first of all, before we really get going, the Pepperdine School of Public Policy. You guys are doing a lot of great work. If you just want to give us a 30,000-foot overview of what we call SPP, our School of Public Policy, what kind of work are you guys doing? What programs do you offer? What's happening over there?
Well, thanks, Cobe. The School of Public Policy, until the launch of the new College of Health Sciences, was our youngest school. We launched just about 25 years ago. And really throughout all of that time, we offer a single Master in Public Policy degree. We call it a cross-sector leadership degree because our graduates go into a variety of different policy-related sectors. Obviously, the government, from local to Capitol Hill, the nonprofit sector, think tanks, policy-related nonprofits, and then the policy-related private sector, and that includes the media. We send a number of our students into the policy or political related media, but also into government relations, corporate communications, consulting firms, and so forth.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a lot of great work and a lot more that we could get into. We're here today, though, because there's new things on the horizon. Tell us, this new partnership with the Washington Institute, this new program that's coming out at Pepperdine, what's happening?
Yeah, so the name of the degree, and Alexa, you mentioned it before, it's the Masters in Middle East Policy Studies, and it is developed and will be offered through a really innovative partnership with the DC-based think tank Washington Institute for Near East Policy. That partnership is really multifaceted. We worked together for the last year in developing the curriculum. We'll have some of their fellows teaching as well as our faculty teaching in the program. We're partnering together on professional development, so serving students with career opportunities and career counseling. And of course, we're working together as well on the fundraising piece, which will provide full tuition scholarships to our inaugural cohort of students.
It's pretty amazing. So when I think through, everything you guys are offering, I would love to get into a little bit of the student experience there. But before we do that, this program, how did it actually come about between you guys and the Washington Institute? What sort of led to the creation of this? I know there's a lot of public policy programs out there. There's even a lot of Middle East policy programs out there. So how did things come about on our end?
It really came through friendships. Just a little over a year ago, I was approached directly by someone who has supported SPP in the past. This particular person also happens to serve on the board of the Washington Institute. They, as a think tank, had also been thinking for some time about creating a degree program, understanding, for reasons I'm sure we'll get into, that there was a real need for a more balanced approach to this discipline and area of regional studies. And so what began as an introduction from me to Rob Satloff, who's the executive director of the Institute, and just really in beginning, and again, this was just a little over a year ago, just getting to know one another, I've certainly known of the work of the Washington Institute, but the significance and comprehensive nature of this partnership really had to be grounded in a deep relationship that we have formed over the course of the last year. Immediately when the opportunity to speak with Rob and to discuss the possibilities of offering a degree program, I reached out to President Gash and Provost Brewster, and so right away, senior leadership was involved in getting to know the leadership of the Washington Institute and this opportunity. But I think it is important to note that we were not the only partner that they had originally reached out to. They had a goal as a think tank of creating some sort of partnered degree program, but their board had extensive relationships with other academic institutions as well. The criteria were really twofold. One was that they wanted to partner with an academic institution that did not have an existing Middle East studies program, because obviously if they had one already, there wasn't a need for a new one. Yeah. But secondly, they had to have a physical presence in Washington, D.C., because obviously they foresaw that some of their fellows and scholars would be teaching in the program and there would be opportunities for student mentoring and so forth, so keeping that proximity. So even though that's a fairly tight overlap in that Venn diagram, there are actually a number of colleges and universities that fit that mold. But suffice it to say, over the course of last summer and into the fall, the relationship building got to a place where we both decided that we were going to be working together to pursue what is now this new graduate degree.
You mentioned kind of the climate of Middle East studies, and I think this is something that's somewhat true in the higher education landscape more broadly right now, is we're facing this problem a lot of places of people are worried that different places of higher education are becoming, rather than places where we can discuss difficult, complex issues together, even from different sides of the aisle, and really grapple with truth openly and honestly together, that instead these are becoming places of indoctrination or echo chambers. And it sounds to me like this program is created in some ways to solve a specific issue or to fill a specific void. Would that be true?
Yeah, that's right, Coby. I mean, I think it's fair to say that the Middle East studies as an academic discipline has been around for a very long time. When you look at the programs, the universities that are offering Middle East studies degrees and host Middle East studies centers, they tend to be what one might describe as elite higher education institutions. I'm talking about Harvard and Columbia, Yale, University of Chicago, a number of others. But I think it's fair to say that much has been revealed since October 7th of 2023, in which I think one of the untold stories of the campus protests that we saw around the country was that many of these Middle East studies institutes and departments were directly involved in organizing, supporting, staffing the protests. And in that, it's revealed as well really what we would call a lack of viewpoint diversity in this discipline. Now, to be clear, this is something that's been known by people in the discipline for some time. In fact, one of the scholars at the Washington Institute, Martin Kramer, who's actually going to be teaching in the new program, wrote a book back in 2001 in which he highlighted the problems within higher education, specifically in Middle East studies, in which there really was this lack of viewpoint diversity. We can go into some of the reasons why that is. But why we're doing this, why we're partnering with the Institute, I think is really grounded in this belief that we've always had at Pepperdine and at SPP this commitment to viewpoint diversity in our MPP program. We see an opportunity to bring that commitment into this related but different discipline.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Awesome. Well, could you walk us through what students will experience over the 2-year program?
Yeah, so it kicks off right away with a core curriculum. The curriculum broadly is a 45-unit, 2-year in-person degree program, and it's grounded in what we would call 3 pillars. The first pillar is looking at American foreign policy, specifically in that region of the world. So thinking about American grand strategy, but also how over the years there have been different approaches and different types of relationships with the different countries of the Middle East. Second, to just focus on the Middle East itself, and so to understand it both geopolitically, the relationships between the different nations of the region, certainly the history thereof, but also to look at the commercial nature of it, the different industries that have been and we're seeing grow in that region. And then finally, we have a section of classes we're calling the Policymakers Toolkit. And these are much more skills-based courses that we're looking to prepare students who are directly going into policy-making positions. And so those are the three sectors, or three pillars, if you will, of the curriculum. And so it begins with 4 core classes, but then as you get into the second, third, and fourth semesters, you will be exposed to a number of different electives, all in those three different types of classes. I think interesting piece between years 1 and 2 is there'll be a required multi-week trip to the region.
Oh, wow.
And so all students will go on a trip to the region to meet policymakers and policy leaders. That is really being led by the Washington Institute, which just has so much experience in traveling in that region, just incredible relationships with policy leaders. But I know that's going to be really one of the touchstone experiences that a student will have in their 2 years with us.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the faculty and advisors who are a part of shaping the program and some of the teachers that'll be teaching?
Yeah, so again, in partnership, we have some of our faculty who are going to be teaching. So Dr. Bob Kaufman, who's been a longtime international relations scholar with us, is actually moving to D.C. to lead the academic side of this effort for SPP, and will be teaching in the program. We'll see a number of respected scholars from the Washington Institute, folks like Martin Kramer, Dina Strowl, and others are teaching in it, all with subject matter expertise. And then there will be others just beyond the Washington Institute formal network, but others by and large based in D.C., although we have one incredible scholar who teaches at the major national security university in Paris, in France, who's going to be teaching in this as well. An important criteria that we had in seeking out faculty is they all, beyond having subject matter expertise, they all had to have higher education, university, college teaching experience. And in fact, that was one of the things I think was also one of the reasons why the Institute was so interested in pursuing this. They have a number of fellows who are already teaching in the Georgetowns and GWs and Masons and American universities. They knew firsthand some of the challenges that their own fellows were having in teaching in these programs. And so in this, they saw an opportunity to bring them under one umbrella and frankly in a much friendlier space for them and for students as well. And so all of our faculty will have higher education experience. It's not just about getting scholars out of a think tank and putting them in front of the students. They are both scholars and teachers.
I would wonder too, we talk about, viewpoint diversity. One thing I would like to hear, is there a particular way that you seek to cultivate this when you're creating a program like this? I'm sure part of it even is just the fact that you're advertising that this is something that you're about. If you're a student or a professor coming into a program like this, that's probably a starkly different thing, just knowing that you're welcome to come and to disagree and that you don't have to subscribe to whatever is the particular ideological orthodoxy. But are there particular strategies you employ to try and create that in the program?
Yeah, well, I'd say the strategies that we're employing are the same for this new degree, are the same ones that we've used for years in the MPP program.
Yeah.
And that is explicitly to make sure that we're recruiting diverse students and that we are recruiting faculty that can host civil conversations among and amongst students with very different perspectives.
Yeah.
Now, in the MPP degree, the viewpoint diversity is mostly left-right, right? So we have progressive students, we have conservative students, and so when they come into classroom discussions, one of the things many of our students tell us is that for the first time, they've heard what is often a conservative perspective for the first time, thoughtfully expressed and encouraged. But also for our conservative students, they've felt the ability to both express themselves, but also hear a progressive perspective in a way that wasn't, frankly, oppressive of the opportunity for them to engage in that viewpoint. When we get into this new degree program, the left-right divide is only part. And I think it's important to note that the Washington Institute is known to be a true bipartisan think tank. Mm-hmm. They have served and advised presidential administrations, congressional leaders on both sides of the aisle. But the other dimension of viewpoint diversity is, frankly, the role of Israel in the Middle East. Yeah. And when we have looked at the other Middle East programs, that perspective on the importance of Israel, the importance of America in its own role in the Middle East is one that is not supported in a lot of these programs. And so we will certainly welcome differing perspectives on all of those issues, but at the same time, we are certainly going to be a place where we are going to welcome a perspective, say, for example, on Israel, that it has an extremely important role to play, not only in the Middle East, but in the world. And in that, those we are preparing to go serve in that part of the world need to understand the important role of Israel in that region. Now, more broadly, we're also one of the only Christian universities to host a graduate program in Middle East studies. And in that, we also understand that the region is the home of the Abrahamic faiths, the three Abrahamic faiths. And in that, to treat the religious dimension of that region, and not just the Judeo-Christian dimension, but also the Islamic dimension of that region, to treat that seriously as an influence on public policy is, I think, a role we can uniquely take in the discipline as well. So it really is multi-dimensional when we think about viewpoint diversity in this particular degree program.
So when you look down the line, I mean, it's just really exciting for us to hear the things that are going to be happening in the classroom on the daily there. Do you have maybe 20 years from now, what do you hope the effect of this partnership and the establishment of this institute means? I mean, I would think to some degree really affecting change for the positive in the way that America approaches public policy through training those kind of leaders, yeah?
It is, but I think it's important to note, and I like that casting of a 20-year vision going forward. I think it's important to note that what we're seeing right now is the beginnings of a true flourishing and the possibility of a renaissance in that region itself. So the Middle East today is certainly not the Middle East that we'll see in 20 years. My hope and prayer is that it is a place that is a true home to the Abrahamic faiths, and that at the same time it's a place that is supporting deeper relationships between the United States and that region. But I think, as evidenced by President Trump's first international trip going to that region, I also really do believe that from a commercial and business perspective, that is going to be, it already is, but I think it could continue to be truly one of the great economic flourishing, driving regions of the world. And in that, as I think about the people that we're preparing to go serve in that region, it's certainly our diplomats and people serving in government roles, intelligence services, and so forth. But it's also business leaders that are going to be serving in that region, whether it's for American companies working in that region, or certainly the growing number of companies that are based there in the Middle East that are going to be growing and expanding in the years and decades to come.
So I know there's probably a lot of students who are going to be, or prospective students listening to this podcast. So what types of students are you hoping to attract, and what kind of career paths could you foresee this program open up?
You definitely need to have a career passion for this region. Mm-hmm. As I said before, the MPP is much more of a across-the-board program where students can come in and go work in government, or whether here in Los Angeles or in Capitol Hill or in the nonprofit sector or so forth, really can range a lot of different roles. For this program, it really is going to be focused in that region. Now, when I think about career paths, as I said before, these can still be what I would call cross-sector career paths, right? It still could be someone who's interested in serving in the State Department or intelligence services, but that specific focus area is going to be on the Middle East. Certainly that's also true of the think tank sector. And for those that are thinking about going on for PhD studies, that's still going to be grounded in a passion for this part of the world. And then finally, the business sector as well, which, as I said, is not just something of interest to America, but I really do see that as being one of the very interesting growing regions economically of the world as we think about the decades ahead. But again, focused on that region.
On the topic of prospective students, you guys are offering full scholarships to the inaugural class. Why was this important?
So we understood that because of the academic approval timeline, which for us began over 6 months ago. We had the degree developed through the fall, as I mentioned before, but that was just the beginning of the process. We obviously had to go through internal academic approvals, both at SPP and at Pepperdine. Then we had to go through the regional accreditation approval. And then we had to go through DC authorization because the degree, of course, is being offered in DC. That didn't complete until 2 weeks ago. And in that, the DC regs dictate that you can't go public with a degree until they approve it. So with that, and still holding to a very aggressive timeline and wanting to open our doors in late August, we knew that we were going to have to add some incentives, if you will. I mean, I think it's going to be immediately, it's going to be an elite academic program. But I just spoke with a prospective student just this past week who had already been accepted to Georgetown School of Foreign Service. And because of our approach, but also because of the full scholarship, she said she's going to apply to us. And if she gets in, she's going to come to our program. And so we have students that are definitely making pivots right now as they are learning about the new degree program. And we have donors, thankfully, supporters that want to make it possible to attract our best and brightest to enroll in the program. So that's why we're committing to this inaugural cohort for both years that they will receive full tuition scholarships. And I'm happy to say that while we can't commit beyond that to future cohorts, those who might apply, say, in 26, 27 and beyond, it is our vision, I mean that jointly with the Washington Institute, that we will maintain significant, if not full, scholarship support going forward.
How has the response been thus far since the launch?
It's just been awesome. I mean, when I think that today marks really 2 weeks, actually today marks 2 weeks since we announced publicly. First, on the response from prospective students, we've had over 100 begin the application process through our portal. We've had a number of students or prospective students just reaching out with inquiries. The media has been reaching out. You mentioned the Wall Street Journal just had a great piece when we announced. And then, of course, donors and supporters. I had someone just reach out to me 45 minutes ago via email to say, while I'm not going to be able to apply, I'm just so grateful that you guys are doing what you're doing, because when I thought about going to graduate school with a focus on the Middle East, what I've now learned about your program is exactly what I hope would be out there. So those are the kinds of responses that we're getting, even from non-students, but certainly from prospective students and supporters more broadly. And again, I'm just so gratified that the work we've been putting in over the last year is resulting in something that's really catching the attention of so many.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I'm just wondering, Alexa, if you've got any backup co-hosts on the docket, because I'm thinking about applying.
Oh, gosh.
Operator standing by, Coby. Operator standing by.
No, genuinely, though, so exciting what you guys have got going.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, where can our listeners apply? We will link it down below, but
Great.
Yeah, where can we find?
Yeah, if you just go to publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu and just scroll a little ways down, a third of the way down the page, you'll see the button there essentially for the Masters in Middle East Policy Studies, and that takes you right to the program page, and you can submit your name if you just want to be updated on the program, but you can also apply there too.
Wow. Are there any tight deadlines that we're on, since there's so much interest already?
So here was our strategy. I we had talked about setting an application deadline, but I think we at least wanted to evaluate how many people were going to begin applying. And again, we've just been so encouraged by the number of applicants. In the coming days, we are going to announce an application deadline.
Okay.
I think it's fair to say it'll be before the end of July. And with that, again, we definitely want to encourage anyone who might have interest to begin the application process or reach out with any questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dean Peterson, for joining us today on the Pep Talk and sharing this exciting vision for the future of Middle East studies. For our listeners, if you'd like to learn more or apply to be part of this inaugural class, you can visit the Pepperdine School of Public Policy website, which we will link below. Thank you to all of our listeners for the time today, and be sure to subscribe to Pep Talk wherever you listen to your podcast. Join us next time. Thank you, guys.